Hi, I'm Sara Hey with Bob Clements International, and today I'm going to walk you 3 things you can do to communicate more effectively with your customers about inventory issues. Inventory issues, I know. This feels like it's been the theme of the last 2.5 years. There's not a moment where I'm working with a dealer or a manufacturer that the conversation around inventory doesn't come up, because for so many dealers, this is the primary source of revenue for your dealership. And it's so critically important to making sure that our customers are taken care of, to have inventory on the lot. But what happens when we just don't have it? And how do we take care of our customers with no inventory to sell them? Well, I think a few things are important to note before we get into the 3 things. Number 1, in my opinion, the inventory space is getting ready to start shifting. As I've had conversations with manufacturers, they're feeling more and more confident about the fact that inventory is getting ready to stabilize through their manufacturing. So I think that's the first big thing. I think number 2, as we enter into a recession, everyone else's recession is not ours, because we have had such a lack of inventory. We're still going to have the demand, which is a great news for us as an industry. And so as we start talking about inventory, we have to know, number 1, things are getting ready to turn around. I would say by the end of the year, inventory hopefully will stabilize for us. And number 2, because we've had such a lack of inventory, as we go into a recession, there's still going to be a need by consumers for our products. So in the midst of that, though, how do we communicate effectively with our customers about inventory issues? I mean, nobody likes to be that guy. Nobody likes it when somebody walks into your dealership and you're like, I'm sorry, I just don't have inventory, or that one sitting right there just sold. So what do? Number 1, communicate effectively and regularly. You're like, Sara, this is not rocket science. I know, but some of us still need the reminder. We need to find ways to communicate with our customers about inventory in ways that work for them. Most of the dealers that I've been working with who have seen success in this are simply sending out daily or weekly text message updates to their customers about the status of their inventory. So let's say somebody comes in, they want a specific unit, and unfortunately it's back ordered. And so you say, hey, unfortunately we have that back ordered, but I can go ahead and send you out either daily or weekly updates about our inventory. Not only does this allow us to make sure that the customer feels seen and heard, but it also allows us to stay in consistent communication. So make sure you're utilizing text messaging. If you don't have other text messaging, I know that in your Constellation software, you have the ability to integrate text messaging with it. So utilize that feature. Number 2, make sure that as you're helping customers through that, if they already have a unit, bring it in for service, okay? I love this one because it allows us to get the current unit they have up and going and collect revenue that our dealership desperately needs while taking care of the customer. The other thing about this is it allows us to make sure that if it is back up to OEM specs, we can bring it on consignment as soon as we get inventory straightened out. Now, I am a huge fan of consignment instead of buying used units from our customers, because number 1, there's no cash out of our pocket. In fact, there's extra cash in our pocket because the customer has to run it through our service department. Number 2, it allows us to make sure that the customer gets top dollar while paying us at the same time. So if they already have a unit, let's make sure we're running it through the service department, allowing them to get that unit up and running with the understanding that as soon as we get that new unit, we are going to allow them to consign the unit. Now, if you need more information on consignment, in our dealer toolbox, there is a whole slew of information on a consignment agreement and all of the things you need to be thinking about. Number 3, I want you to make sure that you have a process in place to take reservations. Now, I know you go, but Sara, this is a whole nother process to manage, a whole nother thing to think through. I get it. But when we can either take a deposit or put people on our list so that there is a order to when people come in, when we have inventory, they get the inventory, it will cause a lot less stress and headache for your dealership. Now, I've seen dealerships do this a number of different ways. Some of them ask for a 10% deposit on the unit that they're interested in. And for some of these dealers, that means they're locking in the price for the unit. Now, that can get a little crazy when Prices are constantly changing, but that's one way you can do it. Another is simply to say, hey, we have a first come, first serve. Let's go ahead and get your name down. And as soon as that unit comes in, we'll give you a call first. So however you want to walk through that, but I would say make sure you're keeping track of this information in a CRM or your customer relationship management system, which again, our friends at Constellation have done a fantastic job building one out for you inside of their software. I know that in the midst of inventory struggles, it all seems so overwhelming and it's so many different additional processes that we have to think through. But I am a firm believer that if we can treat our customers right and communicate with them well in the midst of inventory trials, they will stay with you for years and years as we go forward, making sure that they are doing parts and service with your dealership, which at the end are your biggest profit centers for the dealership as a whole. So, make sure, number one, we are communicating effectively, whether it's through text message or another medium. Number two, get their current units usable and then offer them the ability to consign. Number three, make sure you have a process for taking a list of names down so that as you have units available, we have a list of customers that we can start calling and moving through.